They demanded my heart for their beloved. I took their souls in return. For 18 years I walked the outer darkness, my mastery of the abyssal arts finally reaching its peak. On the precipice of ascension, a faint echo through my bloodline revealed I still had family in the mortal world. My initial plan was simple. Leave them a small fortune, a parting gift to sever my last worldly ties before shedding this mortal coil for good. I hadn't even been back long enough for the couch to warm before the boy who'd taken my place, Caleb, accused me of poisoning his precious show dog. Without a moment's hesitation, my parents demanded I kneel and apologize to the dog's corpse, begging for Caleb's forgiveness or they'd cast me out. My sister, her face a mask of disappointment, declared she had no brother. Staring at this family, so close to divine judgment, yet so far from basic humanity, I couldn't help but laugh. After all, there's nothing a warlock covets more than the blood of his own kin to consecrate his artifacts. In the grand room of the Northwood estate, my father, Ethan, stared at me, his eyes bulging with rage. I know you grew up in the sticks, that you're not used to how things work here, but Caleb's dog was a prize-winning purebred, perfectly cared for. How could you just mistake it for some stray and kick it to death? Oh, Ethan, my mother dabbed at non-existent tears. You may be my own flesh and blood, but Caleb has been a joy to me, a son in my heart for 18 years. How could a mother choose? Just hang your head, say you're sorry, and we can still be a family. A happy, peaceful family. Isn't that what you want? Ethan, my sister Chloe spat, her voice dripping venom. You're just jealous of Caleb. I don't want you as my brother. My father and sister glared. My mother continued her display of dabbing her eyes, and Caleb cradled the lifeless dog, staring into the distance with the 1,000-yard gaze of a man who just lost his entire world. Watching this charade, my expression hardened. For as long as I could remember, I had been alone. The path I walked was brutal. On countless nights, while mending my own broken body, I'd envied the disciples of the ordered paths, those who could rely on the support of their families and clans. Now, on the verge of my own ascension, I had followed the call of my blood to this estate in Northwood, hoping to experience for once the warmth of family I'd only ever imagined. And for what? I kick one rabid dog that was about to attack a groundskeeper, and my supposed family turns on me without a second thought. I remembered the cloying sweetness of their welcome when I first arrived bearing gifts. Not even half a day had passed, and their masks were already off. This was my family. I sighed. Has it occurred to any of you that the dog was rabid? It was foaming at the mouth, trying to bite anything that moved. You have a vet on retainer. Why not call him and have him examine the body? Hearing this, Caleb, still clutching the dog, flinched. He quickly found his voice, a tearful wail. No, that's impossible. Apollo has a full checkup every year with the best veterinarian in the state. He couldn't possibly have rabies. Exactly. Chloe shot me a look of pure disgust. Ethan, stop making up such pathetic excuses. Every single animal on this estate gets regular medical care. They're not like the mangy strays you're used to in the backwoods. All you're doing is proving that you're not just cruel, but stupid too. My mother chimed in again. He's right, Ethan. Paula wasn't just a pet. He was a member of this family. No matter the reason, what you did was just too much. Just apologize. Apologize. My father roared. Look at him. That arrogant smirk. He doesn't have an ounce of remorse. Ethan, you'll get on your knees and bow your head to Apollo's body 3 times. If you don't, you can forget I ever considered you my son. Watching this theater of the absurd, a sense of release washed over me and I smiled. The poison used on the dog was amateurish, a novice's work. I, a master of the shadow arts, saw it instantly. Even my father, with his limited power, would have noticed the truth with a simple examination. But they refused to look. This whole spectacle wasn't about a dog. It was about me, the real son who'd shown up and threatened their comfortable little lie. If you didn't want me here, you could have just said so. Why bother with such a shoddy performance? I shook my head and walked over to a wall adorned with collected art. Sitting on a pedestal was a piece of ancient carved jade, a potent high-tier artifact I had brought as a welcoming gift. To me, a being half a step into divinity, such artifacts were little more than trinkets. But for a family like the Van Cess, it was an object of immense value, a king's ransom. My original plan, had they shown me even an ounce of genuine warmth, was to leave them so much more. Not just artifacts but relics of true power, even a piece of my own lore. Such things could have elevated their family from a minor house of adepts to a major power, rivaling even the great clans. But now I was glad I hadn't offered them anything truly valuable. I might never have seen their true nature otherwise. I picked up the jade artifact. A family like you, I said, waving a casual goodbye to the brain-dead relatives I was saddled with, isn't one I'm keen on claiming. As of this moment, I, Ethan Blackwood, have nothing more to do with the House of Vance. My father's face purpled with rage. Ethan, you dare walk out on me? Chloe shrieked. I never wanted you for a brother in the first place, you murderer. You killed our dog and think you can just leave. My mother's eyes darted nervously, but her focus was locked on the jade in my hand. Wait, she pleaded. I'm sure Ethan didn't mean it. He can leave the artifact here as an apology for what happened to Apollo. And as for Caleb, she continued, turning her gaze to him, I'm sure if you give him a superior artifact, he'll find it in his heart to forgive you. Caleb, the usurper, scrambled to his feet and lunged for my arm. Ethan, I'm really not mad at you. Get away from me. I snarled. The sight of this soft, weeping boy, feigning a damsel's weakness, made my skin crawl. I stepped back sharply. He immediately lost his balance, tumbling to the floor with a theatrical flourish and spitting up a mouthful of blood. Caleb, brother, what's wrong? My mother and Chloe rushed to his side, helping him up. Leaning on them, Caleb managed a tragic smile. Father, mother, Chloe, I didn't want to tell you. My heart condition, it's been getting worse. The doctors say I might only have a few months left. I don't want to leave. I wanted to spend my last moments with you. I never thought Ethan would hate me so much. This is how it is, I should just go. No, Caleb. You will always be my son. My mother howled. I won't let you die, big brother. Chloe clung to him, sobbing. Wow, he's even got the tragic dying hero act down perfectly. I almost broke out laughing at the saccharine family drama unfolding before me. But then the laughter died in my throat. Ethan. My father's voice was low, heavy with grief. Are you just going to stand there and watch? Can't you see Caleb is dying? Is this how you react? Do you have any idea why his heart is acting up now? It's because of it. The black sheep showing up out of nowhere, upsetting him, making him sick with worry. Yes, it's all Ethan's fault. Chloe sobbed into Caleb's chest. It's just a bad heart. I know a specialist, a master healer from the Lazarus Institute. All they have to do is give Caleb Ethan's heart and he'll be fine. It was meant to be a hysterical throwaway line, but as she said it, I saw a strange, hungry light kindle in the eyes of my parents. My father's voice was a cold command. That's right, a transplant. Ethan, you spent 18 years out in the world seeing everything it has to offer. Caleb has lived a life of luxury, but his illness has kept him trapped here, a prisoner in his own home. If you truly want to be part of this family, to be accepted back into the fold, then you will give him your heart. Let him be the one to finally see the world. Exactly. Chloe chimed in. Caleb didn't steal your life. His has been so much worse. You were the one who deprived him of the healthy life he should have had. My mother dropped the last shred of her pretense. Don't worry, Ethan. After the transplant, you'll live a life of absolute comfort here. You won't be able to move much, of course, but you'll have servants to attend to your every need. We'll ensure you live out your days in peace. And there it was. The masterpiece was complete. Goddamn. How can people be so venomously cruel? I am a warlock. I have waded through seas of blood and stood atop mountains of corpses. And even I was sickened by this. I couldn't hold it back any longer. I burst out laughing, a loud roaring laugh that filled the cavernous room. His condition is congenital. His flare-ups are caused by his own weak-minded anxiety. What the hell does that have to do with me? By that same logic, his original life path was to be born and die quickly because his real family couldn't afford his treatment. So how did I steal his life? How do I owe him anything? But the funniest part of all, my laughter cut off and my gaze swept over them like a razor's edge. I already told you I want nothing to do with you. When exactly did I beg to come back? My father's face flushed a deep crimson. You dare talk back to me? Looking at this family, Utterly devoid of reason and capable only of trying to win arguments through volume, I rubbed my cheeks, sore from smiling. Oh, you're right. My mistake. My father's expression softened slightly. As long as you understand, Chloe will call the specialist to arrange the procedure. Don't misunderstand. That's not the mistake I'm admitting to. I produced a banner of black and crimson silk. In an instant, a deathly cold wind swept through the room, filled with the wails of 1,000 ghosts. My mistake was letting you worthless creatures keep talking. Now it's time for you to die. Among practitioners of the abyssal arts, it is common knowledge that consecrating one's primary artifact with the blood of kin will grant it an unimaginable surge in power. Though I walk the shadow path, I have always held to a single principle. My soul banner is fed only by the blood of those who deserve to die. But in this moment, looking at this mockery of a family, why should I restrain myself any longer? A soul banner, an artifact of the abyss. Far from being afraid, Chloe's eyes lit up with a self-righteous fanatical glee. I knew it. You're nothing but a demon, a festering evil. You are not fit to be my brother. In her twisted mind, she now had the perfect justification to act. She channeled her energy, flinging several silver needles at me. Even then, she carefully aimed to avoid my chest, not wanting to damage the heart she'd promised her precious Caleb. My father and mother watched, making no move to intervene. In their eyes, a warlock was just a scavenger who fought for scraps of power in the dirt. How could I possibly compare to the prodigy of the Vance family, Chloe, who had already reached the 3rd tier of initiation at such a young age? I knew you had ulterior motives for showing up here. You came to sacrifice us for your vile artifact. My father sneered. Today, Chloe will put you down like the rabid animal you are. And in doing so, she will be defending the honor of this family. Only Caleb managed a pained, pitying expression, his voice weak. Father, mother, Ethan has been wandering alone for so long. It's not his fault he was led astray. We should try to save him. My son, you are too kind. My mother wept as she hugged him. Very well. After the transplant, we will allow him a place in the family crypt where he can pray for atonement day and night. Facing the full force of this gnat's attack, I couldn't even be bothered to lift an eyelid. The Soul Reaver banner unfurled on its own. With a flick of the silk, a ghastly soul-flaying wind howled forth. It hissed like hot oil on snow. The silver needles and Chloe herself dissolved on contact. Her soft skin, her flesh, her hard bones, they were stripped, pulverized, and annihilated in the blink of an eye. The beautiful young woman was reduced to a fine crimson mist and bleached bones. Feeling the surge of euphoric power from my artifact, a pleased smile spread across my face. No wonder so many Dark Lords, after slaughtering their own parents, desperately sought to have children. I never realized feeding on one's own bloodline granted an artifact such an incredible boon. Watching their daughter vanish before their eyes, the remaining 3 Vances froze. My father's face was a canvas of disbelief. That's impossible. My mother let out a piercing shriek. Chloe! Caleb, cowering behind them, was so pale he looked like a corpse. His mouth hung open, unable to form words. They never imagined I would actually kill someone, and with such effortless absolute finality. TSK, the essence and soul of a 3rd-tier initiate. Not bad. I felt the banner pulse with a flicker of satisfaction, its dark aura thickening almost imperceptibly. I nodded, content. My gaze, now utterly devoid of warmth, turned to the remaining 3. You monster! You dared! You killed Chloe! My father roared, finally lashing out. You little bastard! I'll kill you myself. The immense power of a master-level adept erupted from him. Huddled behind that wave of force, my mother and Caleb seemed to regain a sliver of confidence. A shame that to me, the difference between a novice and a master was purely academic. The wave of energy disintegrated before it even reached my banner. The crimson and black silk billowed once more, and a fog of blood filled the air. My father didn't even have time to scream. His body, his power, and his very soul were utterly consumed by the Soul Reaver banner, leaving behind nothing but the faint coppery scent of blood that quickly dissipated. Flesh devoured, soul erased. One more arrogant fool removed from the world. My mother's shriek was cut short, as if her throat had been squeezed shut. She stared at the spot where her husband had been, her body shaking like a leaf in an autumn storm. She stumbled backward, crashing into a display case. The sound of shattering porcelain was deafening in the sudden silence. Caleb, who had been hiding behind everyone, looked like he'd already died. The handsome melancholic face that had so captivated my sister was now a ghastly shade of gray. He tried to shrink behind my mother, only to find she was trembling even more violently than he was. A grandmaster. You're a grandmaster of the dark arts. Caleb screamed as the banner drifted closer. You can't kill anyone else. The righteous orders will hunt you down. The righteous orders? I chuckled as if he'd told a funny joke, my fingers tracing the cold staff of the banner. By the time they get the news, I'll have picked every last scrap of meat from the bones of this family. And while you, the carefully groomed usurper, don't share the family bloodline and aren't quite as nutritious, looking at that insufferable face of yours gives me some wonderful ideas for what to do with your corpse. Hey, my Chloe, my baby. My mother finally snapped out of her shock, completely unhinged. You murdering demon, give me back my daughter. She threw caution to the wind, gathering what little power she had and charging at me like a cornered animal, her face twisted with a profound, soul-deep hatred. If only she had spared even a fraction of that love for her actual son, none of this would have happened. Annoying, I frowned. I didn't even bother with the banner. A thought, a mere flicker of will, and an invisible pressure slammed down like a physical sledgehammer. Crack. My mother's charge stopped dead as if struck by a mountain. Her knees shattered against the hard marble floor with a sickening crunch. She couldn't even scream as she was pinned to the ground, blood pouring from her nose and mouth, her bones groaning under the immense weight. Mom! Caleb yelped, but he didn't dare take a step forward. He shrank back even further. Don't worry, everyone gets a turn. I walked toward the boneless heap that was Caleb, the Soul Reaver banner in hand. I offered him a small smile. You know, I'm just now realizing I might have been a bit too hasty. Yes, that's right. It's not too late to stop. Caleb latched onto my words like a drowning man clutching a reed, tears and snot streaming down his face. Mom and I won't tell anyone. You could be the head of the Vance family. I'll leave right now. I swear I'll just go. No. I sighed, my voice a low whisper. What I mean is, since they cherished you so much, the more fitting punishment would have been to make you suffer every torment imaginable right before their eyes, then send them to join you. That would have been far more satisfying. But it's not too late for that either. The ghostly wind swirled at my feet, and my shadow stretched and twisted behind me, the silhouette of a devouring demon. No. Stay away, Ethan. Brother, no. Sir. Master. Caleb completely broke down, scrambling backward on his hands and feet. I was wrong. I was so wrong. It was their idea. They wanted your heart. They couldn't stand you being here. I just wanted to live. Please let me go. I'll be your slave. I'll do anything you say. He babbled incoherently, desperately trying to shift the blame. His once handsome face, the one Chloe adored, now nothing more than a grotesque mask of terror and pathetic pleading. Live. I stood over him, looking down. You've lived for 18 years by stealing the love meant for another. You lived by faking sickness to garner sympathy, by stirring up conflict to maintain your pathetic existence. Your life was stolen from the start. What makes you think you have a right to it? It wasn't stealing. It was the Vances. They insisted on raising me, he shrieked. It doesn't matter anymore. I slowly raised the Soul Reaver banner, its black surface stirring in an unfelt wind. People like you are better off dead. No. His scream was the sound of ultimate despair. The banner twitched. Caleb's body went rigid. In an instant, strips of his flesh bloomed outward like the petals of a grotesque flower before falling away one by one. It was the death of 1,000 cuts, executed in a single moment. A shriek that was no longer human echoed through the hall as a translucent, tormented soul was ripped from the mangled corpse and sucked into the swirling vortex of the banner. The screaming stopped. Finally, I walked to my mother, who was pinned to the floor, her bones shattered, barely clinging to life. Bloody foam bubbled from her lips. Having witnessed the gruesome deaths of her husband, her adopted son, and her daughter, her eyes were vacant, filled with nothing but a deep, hollow despair. She stared up at me, tears carving paths through the blood on her face. Ethan, I was wrong about you, wasn't I? It was Caleb. He poisoned Apollo to frame you. He wanted to take everything that was yours. He was hiding so much. I hate him. I hate him. Looking at my mother drowning in her own regret, my face was a placid mask. Don't worry, I finished the script for you. If I hadn't acted so quickly, you all would have been tricked into taking my heart. Tricked into leaving me for dead in the family crypt. Tricked into not even sparing me scraps from your table. Then one dark night, you would have discovered my starved corpse in a cold coffin. Only then would you have realized the truth. The pain, the regret. It would have been unbearable. You would have wanted to tear Caleb apart with your bare hands. But it would have been too late. You would have been left to suffer in endless remorse for the rest of your miserable lives. Ah, what a tragic, moving story that would have been. I waved my hand in disgust. Unfortunately, that process is messy, disgusting, and I have no interest in playing a part in your drama. It's better to fast forward directly to the remorse part. The Soul Reaver banner swept over her. There was no scream, only a sickening wet sound of countless tiny mouths feeding. A few seconds later the banner lifted, leaving behind a shriveled, pale husk of skin draped over broken bones. The unholy wind in the great room finally settled. As I furled the banner, I felt a deep sense of clarity. Not only had the artifact itself taken another step toward becoming a divine relic, but my own spirit had achieved a breakthrough. No wonder even the so-called righteous masters praise the path of apathy. There's really something to it. Damn. Come to think of it, the shadow path has blood sacrifice, and the righteous path has emotional severance. Two express trains to absolute power, and I missed both of them. And I still managed to reach the cusp of apotheosis at my age. I truly am a genius. The moment I contained the banner's aura, I sensed the estate had been surrounded. No doubt a pack of righteous adepts drawn by the demonic energy. A few years ago I might have made myself scarce. But now, only a half step from true divinity, who in this mortal realm could possibly stand against me? I sat down in the master's high-back chair and snapped my fingers. Every door in the mansion swung open simultaneously. Who dares disturb my meditation? The moment the doors opened, the residual aura of death and shadow poured out like a tidal wave. The adepts outside were thrown into chaos, crying out in alarm. This warlock's power is immense. He must be a grandmaster of the old guard. One of them panicked, but another sounded excited. Normally, we'd be no match for him, but today we have a VIP from the Sterling Dominion in the south. The Sterlings have a true archon leading their house. This demon wouldn't dare act so brazenly in front of them. Oh, the Sterlings from the south. I raised an eyebrow. They did carry significant weight down there. Before I'd broken through to the higher echelons of power and moved on, I'd had a few run-ins with their family. What are they doing here? The Sterling Dominion is here on official business with the Vance family. A powerful voice laced with arrogance boomed over the crowd. Years ago, the father of our own Isabella Sterling fell on hard times in the north and was aided by the Vances. A marriage contract was drawn. However, the Vance heir, Caleb, is afflicted with a mortal illness and cannot walk the path of power. Immortals and mortals cannot be bound. The contract is untenable. Therefore, I have come today with a vial of primeval elixir as an apology to formally request that the Vance family dissolve this engagement. As he spoke, a procession descended from the sky, parting the crowd. They walked boldly through the main gate. The leader was a proud, stern-faced old man whose power was near the peak of a grandmaster. He was clearly an elder sent to protect someone important. Behind him, a sedan chair was carried by several master-level adepts, a clear sign of the occupant's high status. The onlookers who had gathered to watch the spectacle gasped. Such a grand entrance, and all just for breaking an engagement. Primeval elixir. That treasure that can heal almost any wound. With that, the Vance boy's illness could probably be cured. A pity, looks like Caleb Vance won't live long enough to enjoy it. Indeed, now that Caleb is dead, if they kill this warlock, they'll have repaid their debt of gratitude and get to keep the elixir. Win-win. Hold on. Why should it go to Caleb? He was an imposter who stole 18 years of privileged life. Was he going to steal the man's fiancée and his cure too? Why are you defending a demon? I'm ashamed to be standing near you. At that last comment, the sedan chair trembled, the curtain was drawn back, and a young woman in a flowing yellow gown emerged. She surveyed the carnage at the entrance and the lingering chill in the air. A flicker of profound grief and sharp hatred crossed her face before she expertly suppressed it. The elder at the head of the procession didn't notice. He was too busy staring in shock at the massacre within the Vance estate. He couldn't believe they'd arrived at the precise moment the family had been annihilated. But what truly shocked him was when he finally got a clear look at the man sitting in the master's chair. He froze, his stern, proud expression melting away into pure, unadulterated terror. Lord Blackwood, he stammered, his voice cracking. What are you doing here? Ah, little Sterling, you remember me? I leaned back in a chair, a smirk playing on my lips. How is your family these days? Thanks to your benevolence, my lord. Everything is well. The Archon's old injuries are nearly healed. He was just speaking of arranging a visit to pay his respects. During my years in the South, I'd had a few conflicts with the Sterling family, but after I beat their Archon into submission, they learned their place quite quickly. In fact, one of my many titles was Honorary Grand Elder of the Sterling Dominion. When you have enough power, the line between demonic and righteous tends to get a little blurry. The surrounding adepts looked like their eyes were about to fall out of their heads. The great elder of the Sterling Dominion, a peak grandmaster, was bowing and scraping to a monster who had just slaughtered an entire family. Had the world gone mad? The elder, however, understood the situation perfectly. Terrified I might think they were here to avenge the Vances, he spoke quickly. My lord, as you heard, we are only here to dissolve an engagement. We apologize for interrupting you. Since Caleb Vance is dead, our business here is concluded. He held up a jade bottle that shimmered with power, offering it with both hands. Please accept this vial of primeval elixir as our apology for disturbing you. We hope you can forgive our intrusion. If there is nothing else, we will take our leave. Wait. A cool feminine voice, trembling slightly, cut through the air. Isabella Sterling had stepped out of her sedan chair, and was now gliding forward. A perfectly calibrated blush colored her cheeks as she curtsied gracefully before me. Her voice was like honey. Elder, the previous discussion to dissolve the contract was merely a concern for my family. They worried that I and Mr. Caleb Vance would not be compatible. But now, with this tragic turn of events, it seems Mr. Ethan Blackwood is my true betrothed. And I. Her voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. The moment I saw Lord Blackwood, I felt a sense of joy in my heart. Perhaps this contract should stand. What? The elder stared at the blushing Isabella, utterly bewildered. Back home, Isabella was famous for being gentle on the surface, but emotionally untouchable. Yet today, after a single glance, she was actively asking to marry the man who had just murdered her fiancé. Bizarre. It wasn't just the Sterlings. Some of the younger adepts in the crowd looked on with envy, muttering about how this ruthless warlock had all the luck with women. The elder's mind raced. If Isabella could truly forge an alliance with this prodigiously powerful man, it would be a heavenly opportunity for the Sterling Dominion. He swallowed his doubts and looked at me hesitantly. My lord, what do you think? Isabella, you felt joy in your heart at the sight of me? I sneered. With a flick of my finger, an invisible force latched onto the storage ring on Isabella's finger. With a faint crackle of warped space, a jade pendant engraved with the name Caleb fell from within, clattering on the cold marble floor. The blush on Isabella's face vanished, replaced by a deathly pallor. That, she gasped, a flash of panic in her eyes. She instinctively started to bend down to pick it up, then froze, realizing how it would look. Her hesitation only made her guilt more obvious. Caleb's keepsake. You hide it well. My voice turned cold, dripping with sarcasm. I imagine the joy you felt was the joyous opportunity to get close to me, so you could avenge your darling Caleb by taking my life. Correct. No, that's not it. Isabella denied it instantly, her eyes filling with tears, a picture of wounded innocence. That's just a token from the engagement. I can throw it away. Enough. There's no need to lie. For a novice like you, your thoughts are as loud to me as your spoken words. I scanned her memories, narrating her pathetic little story for all to hear. You fell for Caleb Vance when you were just a child. You came here today not to humiliate him, but because a young master from a great house in the Corps has taken an interest in you, and you didn't want your engagement to Caleb to put him in danger. So you came to end it. Not only that, but you used the promise of your marriage to the Corps master as leverage to acquire this primeval elixir for Caleb. You were hoping he could finally begin his own path to power, become strong, and one day come to the Corps to rescue you from your political marriage. When you saw that I had killed him, you were heartbroken. But you knew the Sterlings were no match for me. So you decided to marry me instead, hoping to manipulate that suitor from the Corps into fighting me on your behalf. A gentle flower on the outside, a venomous snake on the inside. What a poisonous, scheming little shrew you are. I clicked my tongue in mock admiration. Sometimes I really have to wonder what special talent does a man like Caleb possess to make all of you people lose your minds over him. Is he secretly some kind of reincarnated god king? Hearing this, the Sterling elder's face became a mask of fury. Isabella, is what Lord Blackwood says true? You shut up. Don't you dare slander Caleb's name. Realizing her plan was exposed, Isabella could no longer maintain her gentle facade. She looked up, her eyes burning with a rabid, all-consuming hatred. Ethan Blackwood, you are a monster without a soul. Caleb was such a kind, gentle person. How could you murder him so cruelly? Kind? Gentle. I laughed so hard I nearly fell out of the chair. He was kind enough to conspire with his family to rip out my heart. He was gentle enough to fake a terminal illness and manipulate everyone around him. Lady Sterling, your rose-colored glasses must be a foot thick. Or maybe you just have a thing for two-faced, pathetic little parasites. Shut up. Don't you dare insult him. Isabella had finally torn off the mask, her hatred now raw and undisguised. What would you know? You're just a savage who grew up clawing your way out of the mud. You don't understand real emotion. Caleb's kindness, his talent, his quiet suffering. You're not worthy of standing in his shadow. Before I could even react, the Sterling elder beside her exploded. You were really betrothed to a master from the Corps, he roared, pointing a trembling finger at Isabella, nearly fainting from rage. And you knew that, yet you tried to arrange a marriage with Lord Blackwood. Are you trying to get the entire Sterling dominion annihilated? If the marriage had gone through and Ethan Blackwood came face to face with that master from the Corps, he had no idea who would win. But he knew one thing for sure. The Sterling family, caught in the middle, would be crushed into dust. Isabella, you were raised with the resources of our entire house. And yet, for your own selfish infatuation, you would condemn us all to death. The elder bellowed, striking out. You venomous viper, I will strip you of your power myself. As talented as Isabella was, she was no match for a family elder. In a single blow, her core of power was shattered. She staggered and fell to the ground in a heap. But even then she showed no remorse. She looked like a martyr, her voice ringing with tragic defiance as she made her final declaration. I'm telling you, Ethan Blackwood, the moment I saw Caleb die, I, Isabella Sterling, had no intention of leaving here alive. That's right. I agreed to marry you so I could get close to you, so I could find a chance to avenge him. Did you really think I could ever fall for a blood-soaked butcher like you? In your dreams. Someone like you will never ever know love. My heart, my soul, they will always belong to Caleb and Caleb alone. Even if you take my body, all you'll have is an empty shell filled with hatred. She finished her grand speech, closed her eyes, and tilted her chin up, offering her slender neck as if she were a saint going to the pyre. The great hall fell silent, watching her self-aggrandizing performance. Even I, who had seen all the madness the world had to offer, was speechless for a full 5 seconds. I have to say, I've seen more absolutely batshit crazy things today than in my entire 18 years of travel. The Sterling elder was bowing, his face etched with shame. My lord, I have no words that we raised such a monster. I am ashamed to face our ancestors. This girl, Isabella, is yours to dispose of as you see fit. The Sterling family will immediately prepare a tribute to you as a further apology. Little Sterling, don't blame yourself. Every family has its traitors. It's never easy. I gestured vaguely. Look at me. I had to clean my own house today. In that, you and I are kindred spirits. As I spoke, I pointed to a corner of the room. There, the only other living thing from the Vance family remained. Caleb's prize dog, Apollo. With an infusion of my abyssal energy, the dog's corpse began to swell. Its eyes glowed red. Its teeth grew into gruesome fangs. It had become a hellhound. Lady Sterling, your love for Caleb is truly a thing of legend. Unfortunately, I've already ground his bones to dust, so a reunion is out of the question. But since he loved this dog like a son, I will let dear Apollo send you on your final journey. Roar! At my command, the zombified dog lunged, sinking its fangs into Isabella's soft flesh and tearing mercilessly. Without her power to protect her, her screams were wild and brief. Soon she was silent, a noble daughter of a great house, her entire future thrown away for a worthless man. Even the onlookers outside shook their heads in pity. After Isabella was dead, I recalled the hellhound into the Soul Reaver banner. Apollo had been a good dog. He just had a terrible master. I looked up at the sky. The chains of cosmic law were beginning to shimmer into view. It was time. I casually took an object from my pocket and tossed it to the Sterling Elder. If the masters from the core come asking questions, give this to them. Tell them the one who did this was the blood-vein Lord Ethan Blackwood. Before the words had even finished echoing, I took a single step, and my body shot into the sky. Without any artifact, using nothing but the sheer force of my physical being, I tore through the unbreakable chains of cosmic order. Boom! A deafening thunderclap shook the heavens and the earth. A brilliant pillar of light, connecting the world to the cosmos, engulfed me. Within the light, celestial music swelled, and auspicious energy swirled. Watched by countless eyes, filled with shock, terror, confusion, and awe, my form grew indistinct within the transcendent light, becoming impossibly vast until I finally vanished as a streak of eternal energy through the gates of the highest realm. The passage to divinity slowly closed. In the mortal world, nothing remained but the lingering echoes of absolute power and abyssal cold. An aura that would not fade for a long, long time. Before the ruins of the Vance estate, the silence stretched on. Finally, one of the adepts, as if waking from a dream, pointed a trembling finger at the sky, his voice warped by utter shock. That was ascension. That was the legendary ascension to the immortal realm. The Blood-Vein Lord. No! Another cried out, his voice choked with emotion. He fell to his knees, prostrating himself on the ground, his voice filled with a delirious fanatical reverence. It is the Celestial Vein Ascendant. The Celestial Vein Ascendant has achieved true divinity.